Well, greetings and salutations, and welcome back to You Ought to Know, the podcast where we dive into all things automotive with the goal of being enlightening, entertaining, and educational for all things automotive. I'm your host, Mike Urban, owner of Urban Automotive in Oakville. Thanks for joining me. So today's podcast centers around a question, and that question is one that I get asked an awful lot, and I wish people would stop asking me. And that question is quite simply, Mike, how long will my car last? I don't know. I don't know how long your car is going to last. That's the very short and simple answer that I wish I could just simply tell most people when they ask me the question. So the truth is, there's always a question behind the question. So when people ask, Mike, how long do you think my car will last? What they're really asking is, Mike, is it worth investing in this vehicle? And that question is usually a double-edged sword. It all comes down to, has the car been maintained? How new is the vehicle to you? Have you owned it since new? What's the history behind the vehicle? Because quite often people don't understand that two vehicles, okay, we can have the same year, make, and model of vehicle. Doesn't matter the brand, they're all the same in this situation. You have one vehicle, again, these vehicles are the same age, same make, same mileage, okay? But vehicle A is a one owner, has been meticulously maintained, rust-proofed every year, has done all of the required service and maintenance schedule as recommended by the manufacturer, and has a diligent service history, meaning it has been looked after. Oil changes done on time, recalls checked for, all of that good stuff. Then you have the exact same model, year, make, and model of vehicle that has had more than one owner, does not have any service records, has not been well maintained, is full of rust, but is the same year and has the same mileage. It's good mileage, it's low mileage, so it must be good, right? Those two examples should put things into perspective for you, and how, unless you have information about the vehicle and a service history about the vehicle, or you are the service provider that has been maintaining it for years since the customer or client bought the vehicle and has been bringing it to you, then you may have a better gauge of how long the vehicle will last. But still, I still wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket and tell you a guarantee if you invest, because the real question behind the question isn't so much, will my car last, is, will I regret this investment of a payment being $3,000, $4,000 6 months from now if I put this money into this vehicle? That is truly the question behind the question. So the example I used for the two vehicles, it may be the same car, the same mileage, the same vehicle manufacturer, but they are not the same car. They've been maintained differently. And it's all about the service history of the vehicle that is so vitally important. So the long and short moral of that story is simply, age and mileage don't tell the whole story of a vehicle. And you can be on Auto Trader, you can be on Facebook Marketplace, anything can look good, but if you don't have a service history of the vehicle and the seller can't provide it, showing that the maintenance has been done on the vehicle and regularly maintained and looked after, don't buy it. Another hypothetical example would be a client that comes in for service and vehicle inspection shows that the vehicle needs $3,000 in repairs or maintenance or both. And the client's simple answer is, Mike, the car is only worth $6,000. In that case, the vehicle repair value and the vehicle actual value are two very different things. And it comes down to simply, what is the cost of replacing that vehicle? So most vehicles today, if you're looking at basic transportation, you're looking anywhere Canadian-wise, $30,000 before tax. That's the average small car that's out there that's brand new. You can, of course, get used, but if we're going brand new because we want a trouble-free car, we don't want to do repairs, we just want to have a car that's reliable and we drive it, then we're looking at new, and what is the cost to that? What is the cost of insurance on that new vehicle compared to your old vehicle? That's something else that needs to be taken in as a factor that most people don't. What will your monthly payment be on that new vehicle? What most people don't consider is when they come to pay a $3,000 repair bill feels expensive at the time because it arrives all at once. But a $600 monthly payment drawn out over 5 years, what's that feel like? There are 5 simple things that I look at whenever a client asks whether they should repair their vehicle. Number 1 is the structural condition. Is the vehicle rusted, rotted? Do we have rotted components anywhere on the vehicle? What does the undercarriage look like? What does it structurally look like? All of my guys know that if any vehicle is in any kind of condition where it's rotted or rotting, we always advise against doing any major mechanical repairs or maintenance on a vehicle that is rotted. Quite simply because once that rust sets in, it's impossible to get rid of. Here in southwestern Ontario anyway, if we're dealing with Florida, Texas, Arizona, totally different story. But here in the eastern seaboard, where we have road salt and salt brine in the winter that gets and creeps into every crack and crevice of the vehicle and then sits, ferments, and rusts, it wreaks havoc on vehicles, and that's what destroys the majority of vehicles on the road. Mechanically, they're still sound, but structurally, they are not. So number 1 is the vehicle structurally sound. Number 2, of course, is engine and transmission. Is the vehicle consuming any oil? What does it shift like? Do we have any codes on the engine? Is there a check engine light that's on? What kind of mileage do we have on the vehicle? These are the next steps in determining whether or not it's worth investing. If you've got a vehicle that's got 120,000 kilometers, 150,000 kilometers, a lot of people in this area where my shop is believe that's high mileage. But in reality, 600,000 kilometers is more considered high mileage. So if we're dealing with a vehicle that has 280, 300,000, then we're exceeding the value of the vehicle. And again, that's another drawback that we draw the line to say, look, the cost of this repair is going to exceed the value of the vehicle. Don't do it. Number 3 is repair history. What's already been replaced on the vehicle? Do we have a service history on the vehicle? Do we know? Again, if the client's been coming to the same service center for a number of years and that technician or mechanic has maintained that vehicle for a number of years, there's no question. They should be able to confidently say, look, the vehicle's in good condition, or look, the vehicle, we've been getting you by, there's a lot of shades of gray, it's not black and white, I can't guarantee whether or not it's going to last. These are the questions that need to be asked. That's my number 3. Number 4 is upcoming repairs. Again, if it's been maintained at your shop, you should have a good idea of what's going to be coming. Based on the year, make, and model, a lot of garages see very similar things. Dealerships, same thing. Dealerships for sure know the problems on these vehicles. But if you're dealing with a busy shop that regularly maintains vehicles, chances are your vehicle, there's several of them out on the road, they've come across issues, they know timing chains, timing guides, oil consumption, PCV problems, transmission issues, electrical problems will arise in certain brands and certain makes after a number of years. And your technician should be able to give you some guidance on that. And number 5 is simply, what is the owner's needs? So how far do they drive every day to work? Is it a one family vehicle? A one vehicle family, I should say. So the whole family relies on this vehicle. Both the mom and dad need the vehicle to get back and forth to work, take the kids to school, what have you. That cries for a vehicle that needs to be reliable, because if we lose this vehicle, we lose our transportation. Can the family tolerate any unexpected downtime? And the bottom line is, the right answer for the car is not always the right answer for the owner. So quite often, if the vehicle needs a major repair, it comes on unexpectedly. It's a breakdown, tow-in situation. It's mechanical, something has failed, and it usually comes, unfortunately, at the worst possible time for everyone. So when will I tell you to walk away? Simple. Severe rust is present on the vehicle. Multiple systems are requiring attention or repair. Engine and transmission concerns exist together. The repair costs are continually escalating, and reliability no longer matches the owner's needs. Here's a little secret. I make money fixing cars. So if I tell you you shouldn't fix one, you should probably listen. A great story I have is one client of mine who's been a regular since my company started 23 years ago, had a vehicle that they absolutely loved. And this vehicle was a big old V8 Roadmaster, Buick Roadmaster station wagon. Absolutely loved this vehicle, was the greatest thing, has several family memories in it, family trips. It had real sentimental value. And this was new when I first started with my company. It's probably 2 or 3 years in to my 23-year tenure. And I broke down and had to tell them, look, it's really not worth investing the money into this car to get it repaired, because now she's long in the tooth. You've got the miles on her, you've got the memories, but the rust is creeping in, and these repairs that we're looking at doing are going to exceed the value of the vehicle. So all of the points I've already mentioned come to light. Customer says, I still want to fix it. I'm like, the floorboards are rotted. They're rotting structurally. If this car went in for a safety inspection, we would fail it. It is just not safe. He was willing to go the distance of replacing the floorboards on this vehicle because he loved the vehicle so much, and there were so many memories that he did not want to give up this vehicle. And by the grace of God, I was able to finally, and this took some time, to convince him, please do not invest. It was going to be like $7,000 for the structural repairs on this vehicle that was rotted. It just does not make any sense to do this. Take the money, invest in a new vehicle, go and make new memories, and be happy. And thankfully, he took my advice and moved on to another vehicle, which he had said to me, this vehicle just rides so beautiful. It's like driving a couch. It is just such a soft suspension. It is just so beautiful to drive. I just love this car. And I put him or advised him to go and look at a Kia Amante. Most of you probably never heard of that vehicle. Some of you are cringing when I say that, but they were known. It was a big V6 Kia, and they were known for their soft ride. And the biggest issue with them was, for most people, it was too cushy a ride. So I said, go take a look at this vehicle and check that out. Take it out for a ride. The next morning, he walks into my shop, and it was a Saturday morning, and he drops the flyer from the vehicle on my desk and says, well, I hope you were right, because I just went out and bought one. And I'm like, wow. And he's like, the dealer that I was dealing with just made me too good an offer. They were basically stuffing money in my pockets to take this vehicle off their hands. And it ended up being a great vehicle for him. He ended up driving it for a number of years, loved it, made lots of great memories. The kids grew up in that, had the heated back seats, felt like a Cadillac to him. And it was much better that he invested the money into that new vehicle that had warranty and could give him a number of years. And I believe he ended up driving that vehicle for 13, 14 years before it ended up finally failing. So he got a good life use out of it, maintained it regularly, ended up loving it. I don't think as much as the Buick, because the Buick was still near and dear to his heart. To this day, I talk with him and he still remembers the Buick and still likes the Buick. But putting money into that vehicle just would have been a mistake. And he did the right decision by getting a new vehicle and moving on. And that's where most people have the biggest problem, because they let their emotions take over. So with that in mind, I encourage all of you to stop asking the wrong question. Don't ask, how long will this car last? Instead, ask the correct question. What do you see today that would make keeping this car a bad decision? That is a much better question to ask. Another great question would be, if this were your car, knowing what you know and what is required to fix it or maintain it or bring it back up to where it needs to be, would you do it? Again, a much better point-blank question for your technician. A good technician can't predict the future, but a good repair shop should be able to help you understand the risks. So in closing, how long will your car last? I still don't know. Maybe another month, maybe another 10 years. But if we understand the condition of the vehicle, the service history of the vehicle, the repairs coming down the road and what you actually require from the vehicle, and a final decision on whether the vehicle's worth keeping or not, we should be able to make an educated guess. Stop asking your mechanic to predict the future, and instead start asking him to help you understand the present. I'm Mike Urban, owner of Urban Automotive Oakville, where we say safety first. You ought to know. Thanks for watching.